This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
I simply can't let the holidays go by without making my grandma's fruitcake cookies. And if you know someone who likes that kind of old-time flavor, these cookies are great to make. Now, the first thing we do is we get just 1/4 cup of butter, and I'm going to go ahead and make that into some cubes, and I'm going to pop it into the mixer, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and let it kind of cream together. Then I'm going to get some honey, and this was interesting. I actually found honey that had a honeycomb still in it, and I'm going to measure out 1/2 cup of that into one of these really cool cups. With sticky things, they're just great because then you can just kind of push the bottom up and all that sticky honey comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in with my butter and let it cream, and then I'm going to crack 2 eggs, and as always I crack them into a small bowl first and then transfer them to a bigger bowl just in case there's any shell. And I'm going to drop those in, and I'm going to let that mix a little bit in between each one. Now in a small bowl, I'm going to get my dry ingredients together. So I'm using my 1.5 cup measuring cup, filling that with flour. And then I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and then this cookie has a lot of spices. It has 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg, and if you don't have one of these little nutmeg mills, they're really a nice thing to get for yourself because fresh nutmeg is so great. So I'm going to put in the fresh nutmeg and then 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I'm just going to whisk these together because it's real important. We've got a lot of strong spices in here that we get it mixed throughout the flour. Now I'm going to stop the mixer, and I'm going to take the flour and I'm just going to put all of that in. And I'm going to turn the mixer back on a slow speed. I don't want to whip a lot of air into these cookies, so I'm just going to turn that on slowly. And then I'm going to also add to it 2 tablespoons of milk. And this is just going to go slowly for maybe 30 seconds at the most, and you'll see it's all done and it's come together. Now comes the fruitcake part. This is 2 cups of candied fruit, and here in the States they sell this kind of mixed candied fruit in the stores during the holidays. It's got like orange and lemon peel and candied cherries and pineapple and citron, and so I'm going to take 2 cups of that and pour that into the bowl. Then a whole cup of raisins. So you can see these cookies are really loaded with fruit. And then I'm going to get 1 cup of walnuts, and I'm going to just chop these up kind of medium. If you remember, I keep my the nuts that I use for baking and cooking in the freezer, and that way I can just pop them out and they're fresh at any time. So I'm just going to get about 1 cup of those, and I'm going to put that in with everything else in the mixer. Then I'm going to drop the mixer down and just put this on a low speed to get the fruit and nuts starting to mix up. And this I always thought was such an unusual ingredient, but my grandma put in 1/3 cup of pineapple juice. And we don't get fresh pineapple juice much around here, so I do get the little cans of it, which is I'm sure what she used. And you just let this spin for maybe 15 seconds. It doesn't take much. And then this batter is ready to go. But you're going to find it's very wet right now, and it's not very solid. So what we have to do is just do a quick mix down with the spatula, and you can see this would be really too loose to put on the cookie sheets now. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it with plastic and put it in the refrigerator for an hour or more. Sometimes I've even made this where I refrigerate it overnight, and it works great too. So when it's time to bake, I go ahead and get my baking sheet with the parchment, and I use my medium-sized cookie scoop. These cookies do spread a little bit, so most of the time I can really get only about 9 cookies on a sheet. As opposed to my usual dozen. But that's okay because they make a nice cookie. And once I get these on, then I'm going to go ahead and put these in a 325-degree oven for about 15 minutes. And when they come out, they're going to look nice and golden brown like this. Now, these cookies are meant to be really soft, so you're going to want to go ahead and get them off the baking sheet as quick as you can, and then go ahead and put another batch in the oven. Now, if you're looking for cookies to make for the holidays, you can make these ahead and put them in the freezer, and they defrost really, really well. These days at the party store, they have these great little cake and cookie boxes that you can buy. And that's what I've done here is I've just taken one of the little cake boxes and I put some pretty tissue in and then just put a half a dozen of these fruitcake cookies. It makes a really nice gift for someone at the holidays. Well, if you'd like to try making my grandma's fruitcake cookies at home, just go to our website and visit the cookie jar show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, send me an email. I'll see you next time.